that you watch the Lorcana Dads.
Welcome to the first ever Lorcana Dads video, podcast, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram video, whatever, all of the social medias. That's what we're here for. I am Joey Lay, one of your hosts, and this is the ever faithful
Jason May.
Jason May and Joey Lay. We are the Lorcana Dads.
Not related.
Not related at all. Just share the love for Lorcana and the fact that we are dads. So before we get going too much, we want to tell you that we are coming to you every week from the wonderful Izzy's comic book shop in downtown Northport, Alabama, the illustrious downtown Northport, Alabama. If you're ever here, stop in at Izzy's. He has an assortment of comic books, pops, sports cards, and his wonderful wife has a beautiful coffee shop, Be Still Coffee Corner, back in the back corner. It's conveniently located in the heart of Northport, really, so check them out if you're ever here. Also, we had a couple of things. You know, with these first videos, you always got to do all this, like, housekeeping stuff.
Right.
I need to thank a few people who've made this possible. We have Mr. Harry T., one of my really good friends who composed that phenomenal opening theme song that you heard, that you're going to be humming forever. It's going to be stuck in your head.
It's one of those earworms.
Yes, it's going to be there. I mean, you're going to be saying, Lorcana Dads, Lorcana Dads. And we need to thank Bryce Izagari for the wonderful Lorcana Dads logo that he nailed us. We look like some phenomenal wizards and warlocks with our cards, getting ready to double down on some Lorcana play. But lastly, we have to thank our wonderful wives,
Yes.
who probably, when they said their wedding vows, never imagined that their 30-year-old husbands would be out playing Lorcana once a week.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Sometimes twice a week.
Yep. Sometimes 3 times a week.
Sometimes.
And then recording a podcast / YouTube channel on one of the other days that we're not actually playing the game. So, with all the housekeeping out of the way, I'm going to turn it over to Jason for a minute and let him tell you who he is, and even who he is and some of his TCG background, just so you kind of get to know who these two guys are who are trying to tell you about this wonderful card game.
Yep. Yeah, I'm a dad of 2 boys, twins, and I have a lovely wife who bakes cookies. So
you can tell we both like some cookies.
Absolutely. Work an operator job, operating machinery, and this is just a hobby I picked up. It started as playing Pokemon Go with my brother-in-law, and then that went back into collecting Pokemon cards, and then I wanted to jump on the first edition of a new card game.
Mm-hmm.
And then I learned how to play it and found locals, play here in Tuscaloosa and in Birmingham.
And that's actually how Jason and I met, and we were playing locals, and I was like, I felt like our personalities really balanced each other. We've both always wanted to do a YouTube channel. We didn't know what we wanted to do it about. And I was like, hey, look, I know how to talk. You get the tech of the game really well. I think we can do something here.
Yeah. He knows how to talk. I know how to listen.
Yep. Hey, you got to have those. You got to have, it's kind of like Abbott and Costello. You got to have the punchline and the joke. So, my name's Joey Lay. I have an 8-year-old daughter. I work as a freelance designer, Uber driver, and am currently pursuing a film career as an actor, background actor, do a little bit of everything. I have not played a TCG since 2000, roughly since 2000, when Pokemon first came to the U.S.
Yeah.
My dates may not be right. Don't come for me in the comments.
98.
98, 99. It was my middle school years, because I remember my middle school science teacher, 7th and 8th grade, Miss McDonald. She took my entire Pokemon binder. My parents had to come to the school to get it. I remember that, like it was yesterday. So that's my background in TCG. I did not discover Lorcana until it had already been out for probably 2 weeks. And it was a total fluke, but I'm a Disney nerd. And that's one of our next questions is why Lorcana, why? Mine's because I'm a Disney nerd. My wife and I had season passes a couple of years ago. I think we were in Disney 22 days that year. We needed a break at the end of the year, but sometimes I look at her and go, I miss Mickey. But the Disney is the connection I had. But I did not discover Lorcana until after the LGS release. So that's how I discovered Izzy's as well. I came in begging for Lorcana, which he was already sold out of. So then I had to do the big box store chase. So for about 3 weeks, I was going to every Walmart humanly possible looking for Disney trading cards. So that's my TCG and my Y Lorcana all in one. What's your, I think you kind of said your Y Lorcana.
Well, my Lorcana is also Disney. I do like, both me and my wife enjoy Disney, and relatives, we all enjoy Disney.
Yeah.
I've been a few times. We had our pre-honeymoon at Disney.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Spent a week there and didn't want to leave.
I think that's something you'll find really too, having twin boys that are your boy's age. When they hit a certain age, Disney. I took my daughter when she was 6, I think.
I think that's the proper age.
It was, and then we had the season passes the year she was 7 or 8. I get it all confused, but seeing Disney through a child's eyes it's amazing.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yep, especially you got 2 boys. You get to see it twice.
Yeah.
I think for me, my wife also plays, that's Lorcana's been really awesome. And we live in such a fast-paced technology-based world. Is 2 or 3 nights a week we put down everything and we play a few rounds of Lorcana.
Yeah.
Just to really, it's really been cool to just almost share something, and we collect together. We rip those packs with those dopamine hits together, and it's been really interesting.
My wife doesn't play, but we share a love for Disney Villainous, and we play with her sister, my sister-in-law, and her husband, my brother-in-law. My brother-in-law also plays, and I play with him sometimes. My wife wants to learn. It's just finding a time to sit her down.
With twin boys, yeah.
Yeah, sit her down and show her how to play. For me, it was a little intuitive because I did play some Magic the Gathering in high school, or late middle school, early high school. But I really haven't played anything since then, so probably almost 20 years. So,
I taught middle school for 3 years, and some of my students tried to get me into Magic, but I felt like, I think if I'd tried to get into Magic, I was so far into the game that it was hard to kind of catch up. But with Lorcana, we've been in since day one.
Yeah.
So we really have been able to watch the game grow.
Yeah.
And that's something that I didn't put on our questions for today, but something that I've really enjoyed watching with this game is Ravensburger's done a really good job with how they paced the release.
Yes.
And we see that especially coming up, because we've got set 3 coming up this week, with how they didn't hit us with these locations. They've eased us into the game.
Right.
Set 1, we got the basics. Set 2, we added, I think Resist was added in that gameplay.
Yes. Yep.
And some other ways of playing. Bounce was added.
Yes.
And so those
a lot of the
two,
bounce and the resist mechanic.
I have to applaud Ravensburgers and the creators of the game,
Yes.
because they really, 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 really have made it accessible for all ages, and they didn't overwhelm you. They didn't overprint it. A lot of people argue that they underprinted it, but if you look back at the Google searches leading up to the release, nobody was talking about the game. And then the week it released, it went bananas. So I think they've recovered from that.
Yeah.
Initially, we were struggling to get product, but they've recovered.
Yeah, they did really well they're the oldest puzzle maker in America, I think is their tagline. And they do make the Villainous game, so I was aware of Ravensburger before this. Now, in January, it was some big hype, and I think October of the year prior of release, what was that, 22?
Yes, 22. At D23, I think.
Yeah, so it was out there for some of the diehard Disney people. I didn't really get into collecting Pokemon cards until my kids were born. It was something that I could do at home.
Yeah.
And be with them. So I wasn't really following that until my brother-in-law told me in, I guess it was July or August. It was late enough I couldn't get pre-orders in.
Yeah, that was like I said, I was chasing the big box release, which was not fun, because it releases September 1, but you weren't seeing it on the shelf till September 7th, or some stores you were seeing it 3 days early. There was no predictability to it.
Yeah, Target
now I'm lucky, we've made really good friends with Tim, who owns Izzy's Comic Store, which we hope to get him on in some future episodes to talk about how the game has affected the LGS itself. And I think he's seen a boom in sales, and it's really been a good product for the store, and it's brought a lot of people in. But that's a future episode.
And he's been kind enough to hold our official play,
and let us record a
Yeah, let's get a podcast going.
YouTube channel going in here. So, and been kind of our unnamed tech guy while we're doing all this. So that gets us through why Lorcana. So now let's get into more of, we're playing catch up. We came in as as podcasters, YouTubers, whatever. We came in as Lorcana Dads right before set 3, as you can tell from when we're putting out this video, and we're going to try to backtrack a little, but then start moving forward. So for us, we're going to talk about our deck of choice. It's taken me longer because I haven't played a TCG to really get into the flow of the game and to get into what my stride is. And I'm going to let Jason start with this when we talk about his deck to begin with.
So I started set 1 with like a hyper aggro, aggressive questing deck. And I got stomped week 1 of official play in Birmingham. So I swapped and I cheesed it and went to the meta and did Ruby Amethyst for set 1. And mildly successful when I could get up to Birmingham to play. Mm-hmm. Set 2 came around and I really went hard Ruby Steel and won our first week of official play here with that deck. But since then, I've just been kind of trying different decks every week. Mm-hmm. I really want to go back to, Ruby Steel for set 3.
I think we'll see Ruby Steel be with some of those new Steel cards and new Ruby cards, I think we'll see that. And the locations. I haven't done a lot of research in the locations, but I think they're going to do one of two things to the game. Slow it down or speed it up. We'll see.
Yeah, I think it's both ways, depending on how you manage it.
Yep. Well, my deck of choice, so the first starter deck I opened, in that booster pack, I pulled a foil Ursula. And I love the villain cards. Some of the villains. I'm not a fan of the Ruby cards, which it's just a preference.
Maleficent Dragon, she's top tier.
But I love an Ursula. So when I finally got into building my own deck, I knew I wanted to build Amethyst Steel. But I didn't really get into locals play until set 2. So for me, my deck of choice is a bounce control. My wife despises it when a goat hits the table and bounces a Pinocchio. Or when the goat hits the table, then Arthur bounces him back and you get 5 lore in a turn. But bounce control has really been my go-to. I did play a Ruby Emerald discard deck for one of our locals and did it, but I felt like the play was really slow. Like you had to really work the deck to make sure that you stayed on top of it. Yep. So I would say that Ursula, and then I also love Mem Dragon. If my conditions are right to put a Mem Dragon on the table, because your opponents are always they always are going when you throw that Mem Dragon on the table. So that, I would say bounce control is my favorite.
It's worked very well for you. I think Amethyst Steel that you play is very underrated for Season 2 or Set 2. Because it really is effective against the Ruby Amethyst. Mm-hmm. Because you can get 15 lore by turn 5 or turn 6 before...
If your card draw's right.
Right. Every set's
like that. But if you don't get the right card draw with that Amethyst Steel, it will hurt you in a heartbeat. And I've seen it. Well, I can play 3 matches against somebody, and the first match I win, and they'll smear me in the next 2 because I just don't get any of those bounce cards. So.
But how many of our locals have you won?
Did I win all of them? No, I didn't. I've won 3 out of 4, I think.
Yeah.
3 out of 4. So we'll see on set 3 though, because my deck's not viable anymore because I've looked at how to tweak it with location. So we'll see. I think that also pushes us into our next set, just so you learn more about the next question. Our favorite cards of set 1 and 2. Jason, what would yours be?
Set 1's gotta be prepared. It's such a broken card, but I love it.
I think that's the reason I hate Ruby though. I think it's be prepared. I wasn't prepared for what Ruby had to offer. My
set 2 card of choice is the perfect follow-up for Be Prepared, Lady Tremaine.
I hate to see those. You live when I play my purple steel, you live in fear of turn 5, 6, and 7 because you turn 5 or 6 you can get Lady Tremaine out. Turn 7, Be Prepared's coming. But we talk about I think we can talk about. I think that's going to be something neat to see with these new set 3 cards. The cards that let you look at somebody's hand and take the card out.
Yes.
Which is going to make you be able to discard. Oh, he's got to be prepared. Let me get rid of it.
And I think I may be jumping ahead, but I think Be Prepared is going to be less effective with locations.
Yeah, because you're not gonna immediately not get lore the next turn. If you have a location on the table, you're gonna keep gaining lore. My favorite card of set 1, I think it goes back to I really like Ursula. I really like that Ursula card because when she hits the table, your opponent loses a lore, you got draw power, and she's tough to deal with.
Big body.
She's got a big body. She doesn't attack for a lot, but then one of my favorite cards in set 2 that's kind of underrelated, I like Merlin Crab because he takes cards like Ursula and turns her immediately, while getting a character on the table, he turns her immediately into a 5 attack. Or he turns somebody like Mimfox into a 7.
Yep. 7.
Turns her into a 7 in one turn. And that combo of Crab has helped me defeat more big Cindy's than I can count.
Yep.
Because and I only run 2 of them in the deck, but I mean that Crab really is
He's an
unsung hero. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about set 1 and set 2. We are literally coming in at the tail end of set 3. We've seen all the cards, Jason. We've seen the locations. We've seen the 18
enchanted.
18 enchanted this time. And I think now we can say, what are we looking forward to in set 3? I will say one thing that I found interesting. I read an article this week because, the enchanteds look really different this time. And the article talks about, because we have this whole Into the Inklands, this whole Indiana Jones, this whole let's go chase and explore theme, that the creators of the cards wanted the enchanteds to look like old explorers, watercolors, ink drawings that they would have had in their notebooks. And I think, like, the Scrooge McDuck card,
yeah,
I think the artwork is gorgeous.
The artwork's off the chain.
Yes,
on this one.
it's really cool. And that makes me really excited for sets 4, 5, 6 of what are they going to do each time, because again, the creators have done a mad awesome job of creating something different each set release. The other card, I will go ahead and say the ones I'm looking forward to locations, but like I said, my girl Ursula, I think I'm going to try to build an Ursula Eel purple-green draw power discard deck.
Yeah, so you're looking
Who knows
for the
how
discard?
it'll work? Discard, but then I'll have a massive hand and you'll have nothing. We'll see what happens. And I can also slap you with that Ursula Deceiver of All and
Sing twice,
get the cards out of your hand. Then you've got that purple card, the boss is on a roll. The boss is on a roll. That gets you to lore, and you get to organize your deck. It's not so much draw powers and organize your deck. What about you? What you looking forward to?
So the location I like is going to be the Jolly Roger.
Yup.
And as a Ruby Steel player, the playable card I want to see is John Silver.
Oh, yeah.
With his resist.
Well, I think with you talking about the Jolly Roger, you're going to be able to build, like now we're seeing those subtext on the cards really come into play, and you're going to really be able to build a pirate deck.
Yes. Theme decks are going to be a lot easier to do. A lot of people wanted to try to force a theme deck in set 1. We just didn't have all the pieces.
You didn't, and I think the game's hitting its stride now.
Yeah. So the people that were disappointed that they couldn't do a theme deck in set 1 or 2, and set 2 was a little easier to do a theme deck, but set 3 I think is going to be so much easier.
Yeah. I think you can even see action and item cards coming into play in a theme deck. And I feel like that may be how the game was originally conceived. One of my favorite Disney movies is Hercules. Can I do a Hercules deck? Set 3, yes. You've got Hades, you've got all the Fates, you've got Hercules, you've got Big Herc. Then you pair it with green for a discard. You've got Pain and Panic. You've got Megara. You've got all of this. I really think it's going to be cool to see. And I think the theme decks are going to be what kind of even pulls more people into the game.
I think so too. Because a lot of people are really big on the Disney villains, and a Disney villain deck is very viable now.
Mm-hmm. Well, that really about wraps us up for episode 1 of the Lorcana Dads. I want to say again a huge thank you to Izzy's Comic Store for allowing us to be here, to Bryce Isagari for our wonderful logo, to Harrison Thompson for our theme song, and to our wives for putting up with 30-something-year-old men who play a trading card game. So please make sure that you tune in next week, and let's see where the Lorcana Dads can go.
Yes. Thank you, Joey.
Thank you, Jason. Now don't forget to smash that like button.
And hit that share for our friends on the other side.
And don't forget to turn on all those bell notifications.
And we'll see you on the next video.